Stay tuned for the next edition of Zoom Landlord Tenant Talk Radio. The opening topic will be insurance ripoff, landlords exposed to habitability lawsuits. Hello, hello. Yes, another edition of Zoom Landlord Tenant Talk Radio coming at you every Saturday at 3 p.m. I have an announcement, and it's a good one. This show constitutes our second year anniversary. I've been doing this now for 2 years. I came up with this concept of doing talk radio over the internet using Zoom and, of course, YouTube Live. And as a child, I always loved listening to talk radio. So happy to be able to bring these broadcasts to you. I have been in practice now 50 years, and the landlord community has certainly served me well, and I hope I have served them well. And this is my way of giving back to the community by allowing landlords to gain some education, because God knows all the laws out there are against us, and they keep trying to strip our property rights. Okay, if you were listening live, the name of the song was Mamma Mia, and it was sung by a group by ABBA, and it was released in 1975. And Mamma Mia is an Italian expression, and what it means basically in English would be, oh my gosh. It was not intended, that song, to be a single, but it was played on Australian TV where it exploded and, of course, became a major hit. And then in 1999, it was the title track to the musical Mamma Mia. Okay, the show format, that is, I have an opening topic, and then after the opening topic, those people that are in the Zoom meeting room, if you electronically raise your hand, I will call on you in the order that your hand was raised. If you don't see the yellow electronic hand on the bottom of your toolbar, go inside the folder called Reactions, and it might be in there. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. If you would please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, because it really does help. And if you do want to ask me some questions, you can do so in the comments on YouTube. And for those people who are in YouTube and say, hey, I'd like to get in on the Zoom meeting, it's very simple. Go to my website, evict123.com. That's EVICT123.com. And you'll see the credentials if you want to join me every Saturday at 3 p.m. And of course, we do edit the show after, and it'll be on YouTube for everybody to see during the week. Okay, so what's the opening topic of the day? And that is insurance ripoff. Landlords left exposed on habitability claims. These lawsuits are now considered the new type of personal injury cases directed towards landlords because, of course, they have deep pockets. Now, personal injury attorneys, the climate is so crowded, competition is so fierce that these personal injury attorneys are looking for a different type of personal injury case. So who'd they pick on? They picked on you, the income property owner, because again, you're the guys that have the deep pockets. So what are habitability lawsuits? Well, let me define it for you. A habitability lawsuit is legal action taken by a tenant against the landlord for failing to maintain a habitable property. And this is based on the implied warranty of habitability, which is built into every residential tenancy based on California law. And what that means is that the landlord is charged with having a habitable living space for his tenants. Now, what are some examples of uninhabitability? Well, that would be like a lack of heat, water, and electricity. If there's some sort of structural problems with the premises, for example, damaged walls or a leaking roof. You could also have pest infestation, where you have rodents or cockroaches. Hazardous substances on the property like mold or lead paint that's chipping. Lack of proper sanitation facilities. Broken windows or doors which compromise the security. Now, if an uninhabitability condition exists in the unit, the tenant is charged with telling the landlord and giving the landlord a reasonable opportunity to correct the situation. Well, of course, we know what tenants do. They might file lawsuits immediately without even telling you, or if this is part of an unlawful detainer action, they'll defend the fact that they didn't pay the rent for months on the basis that the premises were uninhabitable. But of course, under the law, you have to be told that there's a problem and you have to be given a reasonable opportunity to fix it. Now, if the tenant prevails in a habitability lawsuit, there's going to be damages assessed to you. This could be a rent abatement, actual damages for any medical conditions that the tenant suffered, all their medical bills, and of course, pain and suffering. And in some cases, where the landlord has particularly shocking bad behavior, just ignored everything, didn't care what was going on with the premises after so many notices by the tenant, then the landlord can also be held for punitive damages. Now, there's ways to stop habitability claims from being filed against you, and that is doing regular inspections of your property. Go in at least twice a year. Serve a notice that you want to go in to make sure that everything is correct with the unit. Do this. Now, sometimes tenants are going to say, I'm not going to let you in. Great, that's fine. What you do is, at that point, you send the tenant a letter telling the tenant that you will, that they refuse to allow you access to the premises, and that you will try again in another 6 months. By documenting this, you're in a situation where if they do try to get you on habitability, you've showed that, hey, I'm a good landlord. I tried to go in, my tenant wouldn't allow me. Also, if repairs need to be made, you need to make them timely. Okay, timely repairs. If a tenant is asking you to fix something with the property, for example, and you wait another week or so to do so, then you're really being silly. You're going to have to pay for that plumber anyway. If a tenant asks you to fix something, call the plumber the same day. And I want you, of course, to get that fixed and then document that you did it and did it in that quick period of time. One thing that you need to have in your rental agreement to prevent these claims, or if it's not in your rental agreement, do it as a change of terms of tenancy. And both of those are on my website at evict123.com in the free form section. And that it is an obligation of your tenant to put any repair requests in writing, that they got to send you something, unless, of course, it's an emergency. They got to send you a text. They got to send you an email. Maybe you have a portal where they can leave this. Because you see, by having it in writing, okay, when they bring forth these phony habitability claims, and they are, your position is, hey, we can prove you never told us. You never gave us anything in writing. And that's why also you need to document these issues. Anytime they ask you to fix something, send them a letter saying, you asked me to fix the garbage disposal on Tuesday. I fixed it on Wednesday. And here's my notation to you that I did this. Document this, send them an email. This way you have a chain of, hey, every time you asked me to fix something, I fixed it and I did it quickly. You also want to make sure that you retain copies of all the receipts of what you did in his unit. Keep a big folder of those, or obviously scan them. And this way, when you get sued, you have documentation that you did nothing wrong. Also, you want to take pictures. Take pictures of your units before you lease it to the tenant. And also, once the tenant asks you to fix something, take a picture of that item that needs correction. And then take another picture once the item was corrected. This will be invaluable, this documentation, if you ever do get sued. And of course, if anybody uses the word mold, don't try doing anything yourself. Immediately call a mold company that specializes in this. You want to take spore samples of the air. And if there is a problem, you want to have a mold company, a certified mold company, remediate it. You don't want to do this yourself, okay? These are the ways to cut down on these habitability claims. But landlords often think that the biggest risk comes from the tenant suing them. But the reality is that sometimes the greater risk comes from your own insurance company. In recent years, many carriers have quietly added habitability exclusions into their policy. Now, what does that mean? It means that if your tenant sues you for mold, lack of repairs, or other habitability issues, your insurance carrier is going to say, sorry, you're on your own, no coverage, no defenses, no immunity. These lawsuits are incredibly expensive to defend. We get about 3 of them a week that we have to defend them. And they usually result in not only thousands of dollars to the law firm representing you, but thousands of dollars in claims that you're going to pay to the tenant. Most of these cases settle, but guess what? You're going to be paying thousands and thousands of dollars to this. So we now know that several insurance carriers are now putting these exclusions into their policy. And this just isn't a fine print technicality. It can be devastating. You think you're protected because you're paying your premiums every single month, but the truth is you're not covered when these claims come in. And that's why it is critical. And the point of this opening topic is for you to check your policies. Don't assume you're covered. Read the exclusions. Actually, you can call your carrier or your insurance broker directly and say, hey, am I covered for habitability claims? If you're not covered and you get sued, you're going to be in a whole world of hurt. Now, you also want to look for endorsements. So if in fact the insurance carrier is not covering habitability, you can call them, ask them, say, hey, I want a special endorsement to cover this. In some cases, they will do that. But if they will not do that, then you might want to consider getting alternate insurance covered, maybe just for that issue alone to cover you. This is the new personal injury. We see on TV all these personal injuries. I got into an accident, and they're hawking these cases, these marauding attorneys. Well, now they're coming after you. You don't even need a driver's license. They're coming after you. And that, my friends, concludes the topic of insurance ripoff, landlords left to exposed uninhabitability claims. And now, what are we going to do? We're going to open it up to questions and answers, and we know the rules that this forum is only for informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for legal advice. If you do want to talk to me and you're in the Zoom room, please electronically raise your hand. Understand that this forum is for general questions only. If you do have a particular case with me, please save that for the office because I only ask for general questions only. And last but not least, if you're talking to me, leave your camera on because it makes much more enjoyable for myself and the other people watching. And with that, on our 2nd year anniversary, I'm going to open it up to our first caller, whose name is Ahib. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
All right, sir. Thank you for all your help. I have a question. I'm using your rental agreement, and the rental amount on the first page say the rental amount, the landlord, the sum of I have my rent is 2,100 per month. In advance on I put the 3rd day. Is that 3rd day considered the
Well,
due
that
date?
should be normally
And
it's best for landlords to have rent due on the first. It's difficult for landlords to comprehend when people are paying on a different date. So for that spot there where it says commencing on a certain date, tenant agrees to pay the landlord the sum of, let's call it $2,000 per month in advance and I would write the first day of each month.
okay, so if in my case, when I am allowed to charge late fees?
Okay, well, that's a whole different question. If you go to my rental agreement, it states specifically, and that's in paragraph 12, that if you do not pay your rent when due, I don't like this 5-day grace period. What that does is it just encourages tenants to pay their rent late. So on that basis, if you don't pay your rent when it's due, then we charge an additional sum of $50. And I have the proper language because you have to have proper late charge language in your rental agreement to make it legal. If you just say, hey, if you don't pay your rent within 3 days, it's $50, that is considered an improper provision.
On page 2, chapter 11, on your contract said will be assessed as addition sum of $50 if rent is not paid within 3 days of the due date.
Okay.
So that means I am allowed to charge them $50 on the 6th day because the third day
No,
now.
the way this contract was written on this version, if you don't have your rent by the third of the month, then on the fourth, then the $50 late charge kicks in. Now, for example, though, if rent is payable on the first and the first turns out to be a Saturday, then the rent really wouldn't be due until Monday, and they would have 3 days through Thursday to pay that rent. Anyway, thank you very much. We are going to move on to Betsy. How are you? Betsy, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hi, Mr. Black. Hi, how are you? Okay,
I am good, thank you.
I have a question about returning on security deposit. Uh, the law said the reasonable amount of a cleaning fee. So what is a reasonable amount?
It's what it actually and reasonably costs you to clean the unit. So if you hire a service, for example, and they charge $349, then that's what the reasonable cleaning charge is. And then you have to include that receipt with your security deposit itemization. Now, if you do the work yourself, can you charge for that? And the answer is absolutely. You keep track of your hours and you have to have an hourly rate, I don't know, $35 per hour to clean that unit. And however hours it took you or your manager to do so, and you show that worksheet to your tenant when you send them a copy of the reasonable of the security deposit itemization.
So question is, last year this cleaning crews, they charge 475. This year they come to look at it and the place is kind of oily and sticky, everything. They charge me 800. So 800 is reasonable cleaning fees?
Well, you tell me, did you pay the 800?
Yes, receive and
And you know why?
everything.
And you know why you paid the 800? You did that because it was reasonable, because the amount of cleaning for that took much better than if you had Mother Teresa in the other unit. So I think that's fine if that's what it
So
actually cost.
that means that the pictures, can I email them instead of sending them? Email the
I don't
pictures.
I don't have a problem with that, but the law does say you have to include that with your security deposit.
So I mean before and after cleaning that the pictures.
Yeah, you have to do the before and after pictures now when you send out a security deposit itemization. Anyway, thank you very much. We are moving on to Margaret O'Brien. How are you?
Good, thank you. I have questions regarding credit checks. I have a boyfriend, girlfriend that want to rent. Um, and I can't remember, can I charge $25 or do I have to charge the amount AOA charges me, which is like 20 or 19, I forget
I
which.
think what you're referring to is the application fee.
Yes,
Okay,
credit
remember, you
check.
can't charge an application or a credit charge check unless you give them your criteria of what they're allowed, what criteria you will for renting out your units, like whether they've had a bankruptcy or how much income they need. You have to give them
Yeah.
that paper first. Now,
Okay.
the law states it's what it actually costs you.
Okay. Okay. And what do I do if one, boyfriend, girlfriend, one has good credit and the other one has poor credit?
Well, that's, if one has poor credit, we all know that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So if one tenant has his half of the money and the other tenant doesn't, it means you're going to be evicting both.
Yeah.
So on that basis, I would, unless they're really strong on one, I probably would try to find all tenants to have good credit.
Yeah. And if I do not charge for the credit check, can I then accept several applications and choose the best one?
Well, technically, fair housing says it's the first one who meets your criteria. So, but then again, if you didn't really look at any and they all kind of came in together, I guess you could get around that though.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Margaret. We are moving on to Firuz. How are you today?
My turn. Hello. I have a
Hello.
couple of questions, Dennis. One is again about the late fees. The original lease was handwritten by my mother like around 2008, and she kind of scribbled that if you're late 3 days, there is a penalty. She used the word penalty of $100. I've never ever charged late fee up until now. Now I'm wondering if all these years have passed by and there was no new lease in place, I've just gone month to month. Is there some sort of a stipulation in the law that says, okay, it's generally accepted that it's like 5% of the rent if you don't pay me by the first 5 days, or what, or can I never ask her for late fee at this point?
And the answer is you can never ask for late fees because you don't have a written agreement with the proper language in it. So if you get them
Gotcha.
to sign a new rental agreement like mine, then you would be able to charge them the $50. But right now, based on your mother's scribbling, by the way, how is her handwriting? Is it okay?
Her handwriting is, I mean, she's 88. She tried her best. I love her for that, but it's like but I have a second question, if I may. Um, if I'm trying to sell the unit and I'm using the 24-hour access notice in order to get in the unit. And I know that I have to post it on her door and tick the right box. Now, if I go in with someone and I knock at the door and she does not respond and she does not open the door, do I have the right to just go in? Or do I not have the right to go in? I know that part of the just cause eviction is that if I'm not allowed access, then if I go in a couple of times, if I go and knock a couple of times and she doesn't allow me access, then that's just cause. But if I actually use my key and go in, then I have gone in. So I'm kind of like, let me ask Dennis, what is the right thing to do?
Well, first of all, if the tenant doesn't open up the door, that means maybe the tenant's at work. So you certainly have the right to use your own key to go in if you served a proper access notice. Now, if the tenant stands in front of the door and doesn't let you in, then that could be grounds for eviction. By the way, if you don't have a key, you're allowed to bring a locksmith with you, not to change the locks, but just to open up the
I have a
door.
key. I have a key. I'm just wondering whether I know she works at home. And so I know that most of the time she is at home. And I've had a hard time getting in even to talk about cash for keys. She does not want to see me, nothing, whatever. And so we're having a situation. So
Well, then
I'm
that's
treading
that's what I
lightly.
would do. Now I have a question for you.
Mm.
I'm a little worried about that vase above your head there that it might fall down. Okay, so I would move it back a little bit. You see what I'm
How's
talking
that?
about?
How's that? No, it's way back. It just looks
All right,
weird.
good.
That's all.
Just want to make
So
sure you
I
didn't
would.
get hit
So you're saying
on
I
my
would go
show at
in.
least.
So you're saying I would go in. I would knock with my with.
Knock. If she doesn't answer the door, go on in. It's your right to do so. Anyway, thank you very
Thank you.
much. And we're moving on to Lenska. How are you? Say hello, Lenska.
Hello, Dennis. Thanks for all you do. For the first time in history, I selected actually a tenant, and the tenant does not like the noise level, and she is going to break the lease after 2 months. So she's cooperative, everything is good. My question is, can I charge her deposit the tenant selection fee I'm charging the owner.
Okay, well, first of all, let's talk about the noise. Where is this noise coming from?
From the freeway.
Okay, so she didn't rent the premises with with earplugs, so she knew what she was getting into, okay,
Yes.
as a result of that. And if she didn't realize that the extent of the noise, have you offered to like put something on her windows or anything like that?
I did the walkthrough with her. We opened the windows, we closed the windows. It was no issue at this point.
Okay, so she's just looking for an
Yeah.
excuse. So
I
she's
don't think
liable. This was a 1 year lease, I presume.
correct.
So she's liable for the entire year. Okay.
Yeah.
So if the owner has to spend money with a real estate agent to re-rent the premises so that her liability stops, let's pretend you rent it in 3 months. So instead of owing for the entire term, only for the next 3 months, the expense of renting it out can also be subtracted from her security deposit.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And thank you. We are moving on to an old friend. How are you, Sam?
How are you, Dennis? How
I
you
am
doing?
good, thank you.
Good. My question this week is in regards to the Social Security Tenant Protection Act of 2025. Do you know what Assembly Bill 246?
Mm.
Yeah,
Social Security.
Social Security Tenant Protection Act of 2025. It's in the state legislature. It's about to be enacted. It's got both houses. It provides a new defense to an unlawful detainer based upon reduction in Social Security benefits. Yeah, this is yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. I don't see how
Yeah,
that could potentially be constitutional. I
yeah.
mean, you're entitled to your rent, and now because the government, first of all, I don't understand
Mm.
where in life does your Social Security benefits drop off? I mean, when does that ever happen?
Yeah,
I
it's
get
right here.
Social Security.
Um,
They go
um,
up, they don't go down.
I'm looking at it right here. Senate Judiciary Committee for the 2025-2026 regular session. Um, and it would provide, well, I have a question after this. The bill would provide a tenant protection from unlawful detainer eviction when the tenant experiences a decrease in household income due to a Social Security benefits payment interruption after such an interruption has been declared by the Department of Justice as specified. And it's actually one step before being enacted.
Yeah,
So
I'd
yeah.
have to review that,
Oh
but
no, I know it's in,
I don't see it coming up
okay.
because I don't see where people's Social Security benefits are lessened
Yeah.
unless there's some sort of a nuclear attack or something. I'm more concerned about SB 79,
Mhm.
which deals with the fact that in a residential neighborhood where it's R1 zoning, single family residence, our moronic governor is going to sign this thing, which says that you could find yourself with a single family home and the next door tears down his house and puts up a 5 unit apartment building. That's what I'm more concerned with.
Yeah.
This is insanity that you bought a house in a neighborhood where you thought that you wanted to have a like neighborhood with all single family homes, a residential area. But if your area is close to some sort of mass transportation, then they can sit there and knock that house down and build a 5 unit building. That is
Yeah.
insane.
Well, my question is if this bill, which is about to pass both houses in Sacramento and other similar pieces of legislation, will it drive investors out of California such that it's going to cause property values to fall or income property values to
Well,
fall?
I
Yeah.
just don't know how often that is going to happen where somebody's thinks I see it just kind of like a do-good law that's trying to take care of nothing because
Uh-huh.
I don't see that this is an issue. But again, obviously, it's just the more of denigrating our property rights. Anyway, thank you very much, Sam. Moving on to, oh my God, could it be? Could it be Harold Rose? How are you?
Tis I, Dennis. My God, every week it's something great from you, man. This is one of the all-time most important things is the habitability, that game that people are playing. And I'm pretty sure there's probably no judges that are on our side.
Mhm.
So my question is, if somebody theoretically, you try to do an eviction because they didn't pay the rent, and then they throw this habitability claim at you, but they never mentioned anything, can that be shut down early in the process so that they're not put in a delay bucket where, like, because I said habitability claim, I get at least 3 to 6 months without doing anything? Instead, you go to the judge and say, "Hey, look, this is all BS. You never gave me anything." I mean, that's what I'm wondering as far as timeline.
Okay, well, of course, the tenant has a responsibility to tell the landlord that something is wrong with the premises. And if they don't, unless it was obvious to the landlord, then technically they can't avail themselves of the defense of habitability. Now, and that's why I want to share my screen with you on this one. I just pulled this up. So let's do that. And it's going to be this one here. So this is my 3-day notice that I have online. And I'm going to try to make this a little bigger here so you guys can see it. But if you look right on the bottom, I have a phrase. Can I move this over some way, somehow? There we go. I got to make it a little smaller, guys. Okay, so it says, at this time, this is on a 3-day notice. At this time, we have not been informed that your unit is in need of any repairs. We take our responsibility as a landlord very seriously. If you believe that items need to be corrected, please address those in writing, and we will immediately inspect and make necessary repairs. Of course, if we do not receive any written repair requests, we will assume that there are no items that need to be corrected. Now, I have that on every 3-day notice that we serve for our clients. And when the tenants come into court and talk about habitability, we point out the fact that, hey, we told you in writing that we didn't know something was wrong with the premises, and we begged you, we asked you to submit something to us, and you didn't. But now, once the lawsuit starts, now you're claiming all these things are wrong. So that goes a long way to defending landlords from these ridiculous habitability claims. But of course, my topic today was not just the defense when you're suing a tenant in landlord-tenant court, but it's also when the tenant is suing you for thousands of dollars for these uninhabitable situations. Anyway, thank you very much. We are moving on to Justin Ho. How are you? Mr. Ho, unmute yourself. Okay, let's move on to Albert. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Getting some challenged people here today. Albert, can you unmute yourself? Okay.
No, I just did. Yes, I did. Yes. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yes. If a tenant complains about stray cats in common area of the apartment building, what is the landlord supposed to do about that?
Is somebody feeding those cats?
Probably some tenants at night. I don't know.
Well, that's
Probably.
what you need to establish. Cats aren't going to be sitting there and roaming your property unless somebody's feeding them. That's just the way it is. And you get these do-gooder tenants that sit there and put out this food. So then it not only attracts cats, it also attracts rats. So you need to do a sweep of your building and see who's doing this. Maybe either go there and see, somebody's got to know what's going on here. And that would get rid of these stray cats from your property.
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Moving on to Josh Hatton. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So I have two questions. So I have a single family home up in Los Angeles, and I have a tenant who's lived there for 7 years, and he's in his 30s, no kids, and he's paying way under market value. And I would like to do a substantial remodel on the house, and I want to understand. I called your office, and I was told that that's not allowed anymore because I'd like to get him to leave. The house is very dated and it needs a lot of work, and I have plans and permits. Am I allowed to do a no-fault eviction?
And the answer is my office properly advised you that In the city of Los Angeles, you cannot do a renovation eviction. However, you have a perfect remedy, and that is you have the right to raise the rent to market value. Wait till November 1st. If you're going to go above 10%, which I presume you will, then you're going to need to serve a 90-day notice plus 5 days for mailing. I'm telling you to wait till November 1st because of the state of emergency because of the fires, and that's set to expire hopefully as of October 31st. And if you want, you can always go to a website that I always talk about called rentometer.com. That's RENT, the letter O, meter.com. And you can just pop in your address and how many bedrooms and that it's a single family home, and you'll get a feel for all the other houses in your neighborhood and what they rented for.
I was told though that if I didn't serve him in 2020 with some form for the just cause thing, then I'm going to have a problem. Do you know what I'm talking about? There was something that
I do know that that deals with the fact that your property, it really doesn't matter because your property's in Los Angeles, but if it wasn't, that means you would be subject to statewide rent control. But under no circumstances, no matter where you are in the state of California, if you have a single family home, a townhouse, or a condominium, I don't care what you served or didn't serve on your tenant, you have the right to raise that rate to a market level, and that's based on a law called the Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act.
And will I have to pay a relocation fee?
Well, you're just raising rent. The answer is, actually, they do have the city of Los Angeles, which this is under a civil lawsuit because we believe it's unconstitutional, states that you do have to pay relocation if the tenant says, I don't want to pay this rent increase, so give me my relocation, I'm going, which basically is what you want. But the reality is that the relocation, which is unconstitutional, but it's only 1 month's rent.
Okay, perfect. I have a second question. I have a different property where I would like to, when my mom did the lease years ago, she had the tenant paying for the gardener, and I would like to take over that service. As a landlord, am I allowed to take it over and just give him a change? It was part of his lease. It says that he's going to pay for the gardener, but we'd like to take it over.
Well, if you could certainly do a change of terms, it's going to just be cheaper for him because then he doesn't have to pay for it.
Rejecting it though. He said he does not want that. He wants to keep it as is.
That's nice. I'm glad what he wants, but you serve the change of terms of tenancy and you bring your own gardener there. Listen, it's always a bad idea to ever have the responsibility of cleaning pools or doing gardening on the tenant. They never do it. And they want to save water, so they won't put the water on. If you want to have that done, just build it into the rent. So if for a gardener and a pool man, let's pretend it's $250, just charge $250 more for the rent.
No, for sure. I just want to make sure I can go back to him and tell him, sorry, I understand that you want to keep it. However, I'm taking it over.
Right. This is a month-to-month tenancy, and I can change the terms of a month-to-month tenancy.
Okay.
And that's the story. Anyway, thank you very much. We are moving on to Kevin P. Can I ask you to unmute yourself?
Hello, how you doing?
I am good, thank you.
City of LA RSO fourplex. I have a Section 8 tenant, and we are having an inspection by Section 8, the routine yearly inspections. And I noticed that the door inside is broken and there are some other damages. So she really doesn't have money to pay to repair all those things. My question to you is, if I repair all these extra damages and I reduce it from her security deposit, if I decide to sell the building, could I tell the new owner that her security deposit was reduced due to these reasons?
Yeah, I think you can send the tenant a letter telling him that you are responsible for these repairs. The repairs were $200, for example, and now your security deposit is only, $2,000 versus $2,200.
So that's okay to do.
Yep.
All right. That's it. Thank you so much.
Good question. Vera Carey, how are you?
Very well, and thank you for taking my call. My question is in regards to a condo I own in Torrance. I have tenants there that are supposed to move out by the end of this month for non-payment of rent. And I still have good relationships with these tenants. And
Why do they have to move out? Is there some sort of a lawsuit filed?
I want them to move out because they have not been paying rent on
Okay, so
time.
it's just an agreement with you and your tenant that, hey, you're not paying, so will you guys move by the end of the month? And they said yes?
I gave them a 60-day notice to move out, that I'm not renewing their lease, 60-day notice to move out due to non-payment of rent. They
Yeah,
agreed.
let me stop you here. This is a single family home or is it an apartment? What is it?
The condominium,
It's a
privately owned
condominium.
condo. Yeah,
Okay, and the tenants have been there for how long?
3 years.
Okay, so did you have in your rental agreement with the tenant that your property is exempt from statewide rent control?
No.
So your 60-day notice is not a proper notice, okay? The proper notice would be to serve a notice to pay rent or quit. But of course, if the tenants do leave, you're great. Then you just saved yourself having to go through an eviction lawsuit. I have my doubts that they're going to move, but you can wait and see. But the proper notice would have been to serve a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit and then to proceed forward with an eviction. If the tenants don't move, you just wasted 60 days.
Okay, so that's where, the core of my question is they are making active, efforts to move. I tend to believe that they will move eventually. However, I don't think that they'll be able to move at the end of this month as we agreed. I feel they will be able to find, good place to move midway, next month or so. So, is there something that I can do, holdover lease or any kind of other agreement that would, in case I need to do an eviction, um, would not make my situation worse? Just to allow them extra few days.
There's nothing further that you can do. There's no paper that they can sign, which will then make it easier to do the eviction case. It doesn't work like that. Right now, if you're asking me my opinion, they're already said they were going to move by the end of this month. Now they're stalling. What you're doing is you're wasting your money and you're wasting your time. You should immediately serve a 3-day notice and proceed forward with an eviction. An eviction case can always be dropped once they move out, but at least the clock's running. These cases are taking 2.5, 3 months. So at least the clock will start running on it. And of course, if they do move out, great, but it's not worth waiting another month, 2 months. And how much is the rent per month, for example?
I'm sorry, say it again, the last
How
sentence.
much is the rent per month?
It's 3,400.
How much?
3,400.
3,400, and now they owe you how much? How many months?
Nothing. No, they've paid. They've paid. They eventually always pay. It's just they always pay, in
Oh, well,
partial.
that's a whole different story. You made it out like they definitely owed you rent. So,
No.
yeah, in that situation, just see if they move out. As long as they're paying the rent, you're okay.
Okay. So if they ask for an extra 15 days, I can say them, okay, well,
Well,
just
you have no
minimum.
choice because there's nothing you can do within 15 days, right? Because your notice is not a proper notice. Anyway, thank you very much. We're moving on to John. How are you? Ask you to unmute yourself, John. There you go. Mr. John, you have unmuted yourself, but I think your mic isn't working. So on that basis, young sir, get your mic to work, and I'll call on you next. I'm going to call on Arlene. Hello.
Hi, hi, Dennis. How are you?
I am good,
Congratulations
thank
and
you.
happy anniversary.
Yeah, 2
Uh,
years. Can you believe it?
Mazel tov. That's great. I
Yes.
just want to make a comment about what Sam said, and I was thinking about because I know the COLA for January for Social Security is 2.7, but I think what they're trying to address are the people that got that overpayment, and they're trying to reduce their benefits by 50%. So I think that's who they're trying to protect.
Well, I haven't really looked at that statute, but
Yeah.
All it is just a wiping of our property rights. So
I know. All righty, thanks. Bye.
thank you. And we're moving on to, well, let's go back to John. Hopefully, John, you figured out how to unmute yourself or make your recorder, your microphone work. Yes, I don't see any activity on your microphone. So you have unmuted yourself, but it's just not working. So next week. Anyway, let's move on to David Schmuckler. How are you, sir?
Oh, hi, Dennis. Thank you very much for your support and learning education. I have a question. I would like to buy a duplex in the city of LA, and one of the unit occupy tenant 10 years plus. And I'd like to ask you, what's the chance I can do owner eviction and take this duplex for family use?
Okay, well, first of all, are both units occupied?
Not only one.
Okay, so the courts are going to say, and the law is going to say that if you have a vacant unit, you got to take the vacant unit unless you have like another family member that wants to move in, like, for example, your adult son or something.
Okay.
So otherwise, you're going to have to take the vacant unit. You're not going to displace this one tenant. Also, you can't displace a tenant to put in a proper family member if that tenant has been in your property for 10 years and is over the age of 62. So that would be totally exempt. So you'd be stuck if you buy this property. Okay. I mean, the nice thing is you got one unit that's vacant. So if you could have, you know, an adult child move into that one, and then you could try to take the other one. But if the tenant who's been there longer than 10 years is over 62, you can't touch that person.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, sir. We are going on to, let's try Justin Hoke. Did you figure out how to unmute yourself?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me now?
Now I can, young lady.
Yeah, thank you. I'm helping my aunt. She has a single family home in Claremont. And 2 years ago, I helped her sign a lease agreement with a tenant using AOA lease. On the lease agreement, it specifically stated that all appliances, including AC, you know, the new units that right now people put in, is produce heat and also cooler. And it's saying that the tenant responsible to do maintenance. It was just complimentary only. Tenant will have to pay for maintenance or repair or buy new things. Right now, the tenant report that is the cool air is not coming out, so we send someone to fix it. My question is, can I enforce or sending somebody to fix and then help the tenant pay for it, reimbursement?
No, I don't think so. Under the civil code, you're responsible for fixing those items. Now, there is a way to state that it is the tenant's responsibility to fix certain items, but then you'd also have to state in the rental agreement that you're getting a lower price in rent because of the fact that I'm asking you to do these repairs. So since I'm sure that phrase wasn't in your contract, you are responsible to take care of heating and plumbing and all that other stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's go to Tony C. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Dennis. And go
Hello.
Lakers. Go Lakers.
Go Lakers. My season's almost starting. And Janice, I want you to know we're going to New York. Okay.
Good.
I think we're going to be there. Well, I think it's like February 1st. We're going to see the Knicks. So I'll be in your town, Janice. But go ahead, Tony. What's going on?
Yes, Dennis, quick question. I'm managing this rental single family home that is next to an alley. And this tenant is being, giving food to the cats. And I have an issue with the cats and the pigeons. They are like I count the other day like 7 cats. I already contacted the landlord and they don't want to do nothing about it. What's my option?
Okay, so this is not your tenant. This is someone else's tenant.
Yes.
Okay. The landlord doesn't want to do anything on it. Well, you might want to call the health department and see if they'll find that that's creating a health hazard because of that. because again, as I told the previous caller, what happens is that if you have this food out there, it just doesn't attract cats, it attracts a lot of other things. So,
Yeah.
and you might want to threaten the other property owner with a lawsuit, that he needs to step up and also contact the health department.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dennis.
Good questions. We are moving on to Albert. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hello again, Dennis. A question in regards to a hypothetically, if I bought a house in Los Angeles, and let's say there's 4 rooms, and can I rent each room to each person? And how
The
does
answer is
that
no.
work?
The city of Los Angeles frowns upon that. They consider that to be a boarding house when you're renting out rooms, and you have to have a boarding house license. And of course, they're not going to give you one. It's just a bad situation. Then if one tenant doesn't pay, you have to evict that one, and then you're going to have, a new stranger coming in that has to meld with these others. I understand the business model that you'll make more money by renting out rooms than if you rent it to one family, but it's just a nightmare dealing with these types of situations.
I understand. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm going to pick somebody new here. Alan Zaman. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hi, Dennis. How you doing?
I am good, thank you.
Great. So I just had a question regarding the habitability topic that you were discussing. If someone gets into a habitability case and then their insurance company says that, yeah, the policy that you have does not cover habitability, is it possible to find a company that would cover this case, like a third-party insurance policy? Is there such a thing that even covers this?
Well, the issue would be like that you don't have car insurance, you get into an accident, and then you're trying to get car insurance. It's not going to help for the accident, I can tell you that. So you have to have insurance in place before the calamity hits. So
Right.
you're basically on your own on that kind of a case.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
And thank you. Let's move on to Michelle Teeter. How are you?
I'm good. I have a question about I'm going to be renting to somebody that it's a man and his wife, and the wife doesn't speak English, but the man does. And I've pretty much been dealing with him. Do I need to make my lease in both languages, or is it just okay to have English one?
And the answer is just an English rental agreement. Never, even if you speak Spanish and the other person speaks Spanish, do not communicate in any other language than English. Let the tenant, if he doesn't speak English, get his own translator. Because otherwise, every time you serve a notice, you got to do it in English and in Spanish. So just be sure that you're communicating in English with one and only use an English rental agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're going to move over now to Betsy. Taking a lot of calls today.
Hi, Mr. Brock. I want to clarify because of tenants protection laws just really intimidating me. So I want to clarify that actually $800 I got is I have not paid. There's a quote. So do you think the $800 for the cleaning fee is fair? As like the law said.
I think I answered that. The company that you hired, you thought they charged you a fair price for the amount of work that they did. So that's what you got charged by a reputable company. So
okay, so yeah, even though that means the pictures, the law said I have to send it by with the itemized listing. Can I email? Is that
I think you asked me that question, or
yeah,
somebody did. And I said you're supposed to mail the pictures with the itemization. Anyway, thank you very much. We're moving on to John. Say hello again.
Hi there. Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Yeah.
Made it.
So real quick, I've not heard you speak about squatters at all. So I'm curious what some of the rules of getting rid of a squatter in particular, because I had a recent opportunity to purchase a place mainly because it was an out-of-town landlord who got squatters and didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Okay, well, let me tell you, John, I've been practicing law for 50 years in this area. I don't know what a squatter is. A squatter means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So you tell me, when you say the word squatters, what are you referring to?
I'm referring to in this particular case where it wasn't my property, but it was an opportunity because the unit was vacant and somebody moved in there and just took possession of the place for some time, supposedly.
Okay, so then the current owner never took any rent from this stranger.
Correct.
Okay, this is a trespasser. So if you they trespass into the unit, and we do these types of lawsuits all the time. It's called a forcible detainer. We serve a 5-day notice to quit and then proceed forward with an eviction. We see this a lot, but sometimes clients will say the tenant isn't paying me the rent and therefore they're squatting. Well, that's why I say I don't understand what the word squatting means, because it means something different to everybody else. But if they truly broke back in they just broke in, these people, and they have no nexus to the landlord, then again, the landlord should immediately start an eviction, which is called a forcible detainer.
Excellent. In this case where it was a opportunity to purchase, would that be the steps?
Yeah,
Say
it's
you
the
couldn't
same thing. You're
purchase.
stepping into the shoes of the previous owner, and you
Right.
have no idea who these people are.
Yeah.
They probably don't even know their names. All right, thank you very much. We're going to take, let's take Justin Ho again. I see we're doing round robin here, but I'm still within the hour.
Yeah, hi, Sam. I just want to clarify. Could you tell me again? You say that the civil code or something saying that we have to fix the appliances you mentioned
That you
earlier.
have to fix the what, please?
Yeah, remember I just spoke with you earlier
I
that.
understand, but fix what? Answer the
Oh yeah,
question.
because we have on our lease agreement say all appliances, including AC, if anything broken, they have to fix
Yeah,
it.
and again, unless you had a language in your rental agreement that states specifically that you're fixing these items because I have reduced the rent. That phrase has to be in that rental agreement, otherwise it's not legal. All right, we're going to take our last. Actually, I don't see anybody else. Anyway, thank you very much. Concluding our 2nd year anniversary. Oh my God, we've done so many shows. But guess what? We're going to be back again next Saturday at 3 p.m. I want to thank everybody for joining me on this. And with that, you guys have a great weekend and take care.